I need 3 hands. Hi. I'm going to show you how to become a moral person in 3 steps. 3 simple and almost impossible to follow steps. But before I do that, I'm going to show you the most profound moral statement I've ever run across. Butler's morality. This might seem like a joke, maybe a bad joke, but it isn't. This is the world's most common form of morality, and it disguises itself, but it's around us all the time. I'd like to give you a nice example. Our school is named after Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Jefferson wrote those very powerful words that we will never forget. But open your eyes. Thomas Jefferson was a slaver. Slavery is the most brutal, inhumane institution ever devised by man. Jefferson had over 200 slaves at one time. Jefferson even, believe it or not, placed his own children into slavery that he procreated with a slave woman. At the end of his life, Jefferson opposed any slave owner freeing any slave. That's Jefferson. And so what did he really mean by these words? He meant that abuse given by him was just. Abuse given to him and his community was unjust. So why didn't he write that? Well, people who follow Butler's morality tend to like to not have people know that. And they don't like it when people point it out. And so why did we name our school after him? Well, as everyone knows, Jefferson did lots of really good stuff for the nation. And we don't care about the slaves. He did so many good things for our nation. We don't care what he did to the slaves. And that's why we named our school after him. And that's an implicit form of Butler's morality. The reason I like Butler's statement is it lays open what I think is the nonsense that disguises itself as morality, but really isn't. The best definition of morality I ever ran across was the following. Well, let me translate this for you. You can't treat people you don't like meanly. Some people think this is too narrow of a definition, but it isn't. This is the problem that everybody has in morality on a day-to-day level. It's the core of almost any moral system. So, anyway, part 1 of my prescription. If you're going to live a moral life, if you're going to attempt to live a moral life, you have to accept the disadvantages that come with it. What are the disadvantages? People can lie to you, but you can't lie back to them. People can cheat you, but you can't cheat them back. And people can manipulate you to their advantages, but you can't do the same thing. So, good question is, why would anyone want to live with these disadvantages? And I don't know the answer myself, but I'm going to give you a guess in a moment. All right. Part 2 of my prescription is that you have to see people as people and not as abstractions. But that's really tough to do, especially if you don't have any compassion for them, and some people don't. So I think some people are actually blameless in their morality. They just don't get it. They really can't help themselves. Okay, the third part. I may end up sabotaging my own talk here, but I have never been able to convince anyone to follow the advice that I'm going to give you. I've met a few people in my life who have come to it on their own, but I've never convinced anyone. It's so unnatural. Now, when people are mean to us, how many times have we laid in our bed and just kind of seething with rage and say, oh, that person, they were mean to me. I'd like to get revenge. I'd like to turn the tables. I hope that person gets cancer. But those kind of thoughts are really unhealthy, right? And it's like someone is mean to us, and what do? We take poison as a reaction. We poison ourselves with these thoughts, and they lead to revenge. By the way, revenge always comes with a factor of 12. Okay, I just made up the number 12. But revenge is always overdone. It's something that it's just crazy. It's something you have to stay away from, but it's hard. So when I think about why would I forgive somebody that has been mean to me, or rather, why have I done things that I regret? Why have I been really nasty to some people sometimes? And the answer is anger, which just turned me into something else, or I thought I had all the information, but I didn't, and so I acted inappropriately, or I had this world perspective that those kind of people, they deserve the misery. And then as time went on, and I got some experience and maybe a little wisdom, and I regretted the way I acted. So I think a lot of times people just can't help it. Human beings are confused and they're controlled by their emotions, and it's not so crazy to forgive people that have done really bad things because they're so nuts. Oops. All right. So, besides the advantages that I mentioned, you get to move on in your life and you avoid revenge, it isn't so crazy. So, that's my prescription to live a moral life. And it's difficult because the temptations in life are almost irresistible. And the same moral issues I had when I was 12 years old, I still have today. They didn't go away. It doesn't get any easier as you get older. I'm 69 years old. I'm still confused by morality, which is one of the reasons I gave this talk. To answer that question, why would someone bother to live a moral life and suffer through all these disadvantages? My guess is that one reason is disgust at what they see in the world, the man's cruelty to man, and maybe disgust in the way they've been treated themselves, and maybe even disgust in the way they've acted in their lives and they now regret. So who knows? People have different motivations, but I think that's one of them. Most of us won't change the world, but we can change ourselves. And morality is a flat circle. You can get on it anywhere you want. And the most common place to get on it is a little town called Butler's Morality. So, in conclusion, I would like to change the title of my talk from How to Be a Moral Person to How a Crazy Person Can Act Sane. And the way to do that is to treat other people with dignity. And if we don't forgive the people that have been nasty and mean to us, we have a tendency to become like them. That's it. That's my talk, and I hope I've given you some food for thought.
Our next speaker is Lang Lee. Lang Lee graduated from Thomas Jefferson in 1992, obtained an electrical engineering degree from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, started her career at MicroStrategy in Tyson's Corner, rising through the ranks for 17 years, obtained a master's degree in information systems from George Washington University, and currently serves as vice president of business applications at Appian, a software company in Reston. She strives to define herself by more than her degrees and career, so she is also an enthusiastic rock climber, snowboarder, kayaker, cook, and photographer who has visited all 7 continents. Please give it up for Lang Lee.
Hi everyone. I'm very pleased to be here after 20 years of being away from TJ. I'm especially extremely happy to be here under these circumstances. So as I look back through my life, I see 3 pivotal events that have created who I am, and I wanted to talk to you about those today. Key to these events are a few attributes that I've identified to help become a successful person, and they are to really have heroes that are close to you. Second is to ensure that when you're looking at opportunities that you're open and flexible. And the last thing